Sri Jaindra Saraswati Vidyalaya Matriculation High Secondary School, Singanallur. Namaste. Today we are going to discuss about the problems in lesson 9 Atomic and Nuclear Physics of class 12. The first problem is, consider two hydrogen atoms Ha and Hb in ground state. Assume that hydrogen atom Ha is at rest and hydrogen atom Hb is moving with the speed. And after that they make a head-on collision with the stationary hydrogen atom Ha. After the collision, both of them move together. What is the minimum value of kinetic energy of the moving hydrogen atom Hb such that any one of the hydrogen atom reaches the first excited state? So, what you have to find is the minimum value of kinetic energy of hydrogen atom. So, first we will start our problem with the law of conservation of momentum. Law of conservation of momentum states that momentum before collision is equal to momentum after collision. You know the relation between momentum and kinetic energy as P is equal to root of 2 into m into kinetic energy. This is the momentum before collision. After collision, both the atoms will join with each other. Hence, the mass will become 2m. Hence, P dash is the momentum after collision. So, momentum after collision P dash is given by square root of 2 into 2m. Since they join after collision, we have the mass doubled. So, it is 2m into Ke dash. Ke dash specifies the kinetic energy after collision. So, the momentum is equal. So, we are equating these two equations. Therefore, root 2m Ke is equal to root 2 into 2m Ke dash. So when you can cancel the common terms. The common terms are root 2 m. You can square this equation. So the root will get cancelled. After that you can cancel 2m on both the sides. Hence we get the relation 1 as kinetic energy is equal to 2 Ke dash, that is kinetic energy before collision is equal to 2 times kinetic energy after collision. So this you will take it as equation 1. Next, the second part of the problem starts with the law of conservation of energy. That is, the energy before collision is equal to energy after collision. Before they have the kinetic energy. After collision, they have got two energies. One is the kinetic energy, which is Ke dash. The next one is excitation energy. That is, after collision, one of the hydrogen atom is excited to the higher state. So, that excitation energy, we are specifying it as del E. So, this according to law of conservation of energy, Ke is equal to Ke dash plus del E. This is equation 2. Now, the before equation 1, which is Ke is equal to 2 Ke dash. This first equation and second equation Ke is equal to Ku dash plus del E. In these two equations, the LHS is same. So, we can equate the RHS. So, when you equate the RHS, we get 2 Ke dash is equal to Ke dash plus del E. So, del E becomes Ke dash, that is excitation energy is equal to the kinetic energy after collision. This value of del E we have to substitute in the equation 2. So, when you substitute in equation 2, instead of Ke dash we have to substitute it as del E. So, when you substitute you will get Ke is equal to 2 del E. So, del E, that is which is the excitation energy, is equal to Ke by 2. We know that the minimum value of energy for hydrogen for excitation is 10.2 electron volt, which you can see in the diagram also. Del E, that is the minimum energy required for the electron to excite to the higher energy level, is 10.2 electron volt. So, here we are going to substitute the value of del E. So, del E is greater than equal to 10.2 electron volt. Instead of del E, you can substitute the relation del E is equal to Ke, that is kinetic energy, divided by 2. Hence, kinetic energy divided by 2 is greater than or equal to 10.2 electron volts, since this is the minimum energy. So, in the denominator we have got 2. So, that you take it to the equation that side. The kinetic energy is greater than or equal to 20.4 electron volt, which is got by multiplying 10.2 into 2. So, the minimum kinetic energy of the moving hydrogen atom, so that one of the hydrogen atom reaches the first excited state, is given by 20.4 electron volt. So this is the minimum kinetic energy which we are supposed to find, and we have found the answer. Now move on to the second question. Second question is, in the Bohr atom model, the frequency of the transitions is given by the following expression. So frequency is given by mu is equal to Rc into 1 by n squared minus 1 by m squared, where n is less than m. You have to consider the following transition. First transition is from 3 to 2. Second transition is 2 to 1. Third transition is from 3 to 1. And what you have to prove is, the frequency of these transitions obey the sum rule. The sum rule is also called as Ritz combination principle, which is nothing but 3 transitions are there. When you add 2 transition frequency, you have to get the other one. That is called as the sum rule. Now let us check whether the given frequency obeys the sum rule. So the given expression for frequency is Rc into 1 by n square minus 1 by m square. As I have already told you what is the principle of sum rule. The principle states that the spectral lines of any element included frequencies that are either the sum or difference of the frequencies of the other two lines. So for each frequency, for each transition we have to find the frequency. So first we will take the transition between m is equal to 3 to n is equal to 2. So the expression for frequency is Rc into, just substitute the value of m and n in the first equation. We get 1 by 2 square minus 1 by 3 square. Simplifying, you have to find LCM and you have to simplify. You will get Rc into 9 minus 4 divided by 36, which is equal to Rc into 5 by 36. Similarly, we have to find the frequency of the transition between m is equal to 2 and n is equal to 1, which is given by frequency 2 to 1 is given by Rc into 1 by 1 square minus 1 by 2 square, which is equal to Rc into 4 minus 1 by 4. Taking LCM, we get this answer, which is equal to Rc into 3 by 4. Next, for the transition m is equal to 3, n is equal to 1, we get the frequency as mu 3 to 1 is equal to Rc into 1 by 2 square minus 1 by 3 square, which is equal to Rc into 9 minus 1 divided by 9, which is equal to Rc 8 by 9. We have to prove the sum rule, that is mu 3 minus 1 is equal to mu 3 minus 2 plus mu 2 minus 2. 3 minus 1, already we have found it as 8 by 9, which is equal to 5 by 36 plus 3 by 4. Now you have to find the LCM and you do the calculation. This is also equal to 8 by 9. Hence LHS is equal to RHS. Hence this transition obeys the sum rule. Third problem consists of two parts. In first part, a hydrogen atom is excited by the radiation of wavelength 97.5 nanometer. Find the principal quantum number of the excited state. So we have to find the principal quantum number, that is n value. This is the first part. So we know the energy of the incident photon. The energy of the incident photon is given by h nu. Instead of nu, you can substitute it as c by lambda. Hence, we get the formula for energy of the incident photon as h c by lambda. where h is the Planck's constant, c is the velocity of light, lambda is the wavelength. Substituting all those values, you get 6.63 into 10 power minus 34 into 3 into 10 power 8 divided by 975 into 10 power minus 10 into 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. Why we are multiplying this 1.6 into 10 power 19? We are just converting this unit of energy into electron volt. Since 1 electron volt is equal to 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 joule, here the energy is in terms of joule. So we are converting this energy in terms of electron volt. Hence, we get the energy of the photon as 12.75 electron volt. We know the energy of the ground state. The general expression for energy is E suffix n is equal to minus 13.6 divided by n squared into electron volt. N refers to the energy level, what energy level the electron is present. For ground state, n is equal to 1. For first excited state, for the next excited state, n will be equal to 2. So the value of n varies. So first we are finding for the ground state, what is the energy? Ground state energy is given by substituting n is equal to 1. Hence we get E1 is equal to minus 13.6 divided by 1 square, which is equal to minus 13.6 electron volt. Now what is happening? The electron is observing the energy from the photon. Energy from the photon, already we have found it as 12.75 electron volt. So when the electron is observing this energy. So the energy of the electron in the excited state after observing a photon of 12.75 electron volt becomes En is equal to minus 13.6 plus 12.75. Why we are adding? The electron is observing the energy from the photon. So we are adding this photon's energies to the photon energy to the energy of the electron which is in the ground state. So when you add these two, you will get minus 0.85 electron volt. Now it is easy for us to find the principal quantum number n squared using the formula n squared is equal to minus 13.6 divided by En. En value is minus 0.85. So substituting in this equation 13.6 divided by 0.85 gives 16. So n squared is equal to 16. So n value will be equal to 4. So first part is over. We have found the principal quantum number of the excited state. Now we will move on to the second part. Second part, you have to show that the total number of lines in the emission spectrum is n into n minus 1 divided by 2. And compute the total number of possible lines in emission spectrum as given in A. So already we have found the n value as 4. So now you have to find the total number of lines in the emission spectrum. The total number of lines in the emission spectrum is given by n into n minus 1 divided by 2. Now n value we had found it as 4. Substitute this 4 here. So 4 into n minus 1, 4 minus 1 is 3. So 4 into 3 divided by 2 which is nothing but 12 by 2 which is equal to 16. So the total number of possible lines in the emission spectrum is given as 6 possible transitions are there. Next, fourth question. Calculate the radius of the earth if the density of the earth is equal to the density of nucleus. That is, you are just comparing the density of earth with the density of nucleus. Or, if the density of earth is equal to the density of nucleus, what will be the radius of the earth? This is what we have to find. So, the given data is mass of the earth is given as 5.97 into 10 power 24 kg. So, this is a very simple problem, just a mere substitution. Mass of the earth is given. Nuclear density, yes, this is also given data 2.3 into 10 power 17 kilogram per meter cube. You know the formula, density is equal to mass by volume. Since the shape is a sphere, we substitute the volume of sphere, which is 4 by 3 pi r cube. The 3 which is in the denominator, we take it to the numerator. So the density formula is 3m divided by 4 pi r cube. We are supposed to find the radius. So we reverse this formula and find r cube is equal to 3m by 4 pi into density. Now substitute the m value, pi value, density value, everything is given in the data. So substituting all these values, you get the radius value as r cube is equal to 0.62 into 10 power 7. Simplifying, you get r is equal to 6.2 the whole power 1 by 3 into 10 square, which is approximately equal to r is equal to 184 meter. So when the density of the earth is equal to the density of the nucleus, then the radius of the earth will become just 184 meter. Fifth problem is calculate the mass defect and the binding energy per nucleon of the silver nucleus. Atomic mass of silver value is given. It's a very simple problem. You know that the silver nucleus contains 47 protons and 61 neutrons. So first we have to find the mass of 47 protons. Mass of 47 proton is equal to 47 into mass of 1 proton, which is 1.007825. So when you multiply this with 47, you will get 47.367775 U, where U is the atomic mass unit. Hence, we have to find the mass of 61 neutrons. Mass of 61 neutrons is equal to 61 into mass of 1 neutron. Mass of 1 neutron is 1.008665. So when you multiply with 61, you get 61.528565 atomic mass unit. So the total mass, you have to add these two. So when you add these two, the total mass is 108.89634 atomic mass unit. Mass defect is this mass, the actual mass minus the given mass. The given mass is 107.905949. So when you subtract this, you get the mass defect del M as 0.990391 atomic mass unit. This mass defect is converted into binding energy using the formula Be is equal to del M C square. Del M we have found, just substitute that. Here the unit is in meter per second. C value is 3 into 10 power 8 meter per second. So we have to convert this into energy unit, which is electron volt. So when you are converting, we have to multiply with 931 million electron volt. Hence binding energy is given by 0.990391 into 931 million electron volt. The value of C square, when it is converted into million electron volt, you get this value 931 million electron volt. Now this is the binding energy value. Here in the question they have asked us to find the binding energy per nucleon. That is binding energy, you have to divide it by this number of nucleon. Hence Be by A is equal to 0.990391 into 931 divided by 108 million electron volt. So when you do this calculation, you will get it as 8.5 million electron volt per nucleon. Now the sixth problem. Half-lives of the two radioactive elements A and B are 20 minutes and 40 minutes respectively. Initially, the samples have equal number of nuclei. So, initial number of nuclei is same. After the decay only, the number of elements changes. So, we have to calculate the ratio of decayed number of A and B nuclei after 80 minutes. So, the given data is T half of A is 20 minutes, T half of B is 40 minutes. The total time given is 80 minutes. That is, after 80 minutes only we have to calculate the ratio of decayed numbers of A and B. So the given time is t is equal to 80 minutes. You know the relation, the total number of nuclei is given by the total time divided by t half. We are going to use this formula. Next formula what we are going to use is n is equal to n naught into half power n, where the small n is given by t half. These two formulas only we have to use. So first we will use for element A. So for A, we will have n suffix A is equal to total time is 80 divided by, for A the t half is 20. So 80 divided by 20 is equal to 4. Now this NA value I am going to substitute in the second equation, which is n is equal to n naught half power n. So n suffix A is equal to n naught into half power n. NA we have found it as 4. So half power 4, which is equal to n naught by 16. So this is the number of nucleides which is decayed. So, the number of A nucleides decades is equal to n naught minus n naught by 16. That is, n naught is the original number of nucleus, and which has not decayed is n naught by 16. So, when you subtract the total number from the from the total number, when you subtract the not decayed one, you will get the number of nucleus decayed. Hence, n naught minus n naught by 16 will give you the number of nucleides which has decayed. So, n naught minus n naught by 16, you have to take LCM and cancel this. You will get 15 by 16 n naught. So, this is the decayed number of A. Similarly, we have to find what is the number of B elements decayed. So for B, once again the same relation, NB we will be calculating by 80 by 40, which is equal to 2. Now this equation you will be substituting in the second equation, that is n is equal to n naught half power n. Here it is for B, so NB is equal to n naught half power 2, which is equal to n naught by 2. This is the number of nucleides which hasn't decayed. So now how to find the number of B nucleides decayed? The total number, we will subtract this n naught by 4. Then you will get the total nucleides decayed. So n naught minus n naught by 4, which is equal to 3 n naught by 4. So we have found the number of nucleides in A which is decayed and B which is decayed. Now actually in the question they have asked us to find the ratio, that is Na divided by Nb. So Na divided by Nb is 15 n naught by 16 the whole divided by 3 n naught by 4. So when you take it to the numerator it goes as reciprocal. You can cancel n naught and 3 and 15 get cancelled. 4 and 16 will get cancelled, and after that you will get the ratio as 5 divided by 4. So the ratio of nucleus after 80 minutes, the decayed number of nucleus is 5:4. On your birthday, you measure the activity of the sample of bismuth which has a half-life of 5.01 days. The initial activity that you measured is 1 microcurie. What is the approximate activity of the sample on your next birthday? That is after 365 days. After 1 year only we will be getting our next birthday. So after 1 year, instead of saying that, in the question they have mentioned that after on your next birthday, what is the activity? So next you have to calculate the decay constant, then the mean life, the last the initial number of atoms. Very simple, you have to just substitute in the formula and you have to find. So first the T half is given as 5.01 days. You know the relation 1 curie is equal to 3.7 into 10 power 10 decays per second. This is the exact definition of 1 curie. The activity is given as 1 microcurie. The time is given as 1 year, which consists of 365 days. You know the total number of nucleus is given by n is equal to t divided by t half. This formula we have discussed in the previous problem also. So the t is 365 days divided by the t half is given as 5.01. So when you divide this, the approximate half-life is 73. So 73 half-lives are there. So first we will calculate the activity. You know the formula R is equal to half power n R naught. Now substituting the n value, R naught value from the given data, we get R is equal to half power 73 into 1 microcurie. So when you do the calculation, you will get R is equal to 10 power minus 22 microcurie. First R we have found out, that is the activity of the sample we have found out. Yeah, next we have to find the decay constant. Lambda is equal to, we know the formula, lambda is equal to 0.6931 divided by t half. T half is given as 5.01 days. So we have to convert this into seconds. So 1 day, you know that 1 day consists of 86,400 seconds. So just including that value, you will get lambda as 1.6 into 10 power minus 6 second. So decay constant we have found. Next we have to find the mean life. Mean life is given by, the formula is tau is equal to 1 by lambda. So you reverse this 1.6 into 10 power minus 6. You can easily find the tau value, which is equal to 7.24 days. Next you have to find the initial number of atoms, that is n naught value you have to find. You know the formula R naught is equal to n naught into lambda. So n naught will be equal to R naught by lambda. R naught value also first we have found. Lambda value also we have found. So just substituting these values in the formula, you get the n naught value as 2.31 into 10 power 10. Now the 8th problem, calculate the time required for 60% of the sample of the radon undergo decay, and given the T half of radon is 3.8 days. So half-life is given as 3.8 days. Amount of the sample disintegrated is 60%. So amount of the substance which hasn't disintegrated is 40%. They are asked us to find the time. So first we will find the lambda value. You know the lambda is equal to 0.6931 divided by t half, where t half is given as 3.8. So substitute that per day. Amount of sample disintegrated is 60%. So amount of the sample present is the remaining, which is 40%. So we will consider n naught is the original amount of the sample. So from the law of disintegration, you know that n is equal to n naught into e power minus lambda t. Instead of n, what you are going to substitute? How many elements are there? Only 40% of n naught is there. So instead of n, we are substituting 40% of n naught. So 40% means 40 divided by 100 into n naught is equal to n naught into e power minus lambda t. On both the sides, you can cancel this n naught. So further simplifying, you will get e power minus lambda t is equal to 40 by 100. Listen here, it is e power minus lambda t. Now I am going to change this as e power lambda t. So I am just inversing. So when I inverse on LHS, I have to inverse for RHS also. So 40 by 100 will become 100 by 40. So e power lambda t is equal to 100 by 40, which is nothing but 2.5. You have to eliminate this e. So you know that you have to take log. Then only you can eliminate this e. So taking log on both sides. So log e power lambda t is equal to log 2.5. So log and e will get cancelled. We know this. So what happens? Lambda t is equal to log 2.5 to the base e. First we have to calculate log to the base e into log to the base 10. Then only it will be easy for calculation. So when you want to convert this into the base e, this is the formula that you have to multiply by 2.303. So log 2.5 to the base e is equal to log 2.5 to the base 10 into 2.303. So when you multiply by 2.303 only, the log to the base e will get converted into log to the base 10. After that into the t value only we are finding. So the lambda value will come to the equation this side. So lambda value is given by 0.6931 divided by 3.8. So which is in the denominator, 3.8 will go to the numerator. So 3.8 divided by 0.6931. So simplifying this, you get 5.022 days. Approximately it is 5 days. The ninth problem. Assuming that energy released by the fission of a single uranium nucleus is 200 million electron volt, calculate the number of fissions per second required to produce 1 watt power. So the energy per fission is given by 200 million electron volt. The required power is 1 watt, which is watt is equal to joule second. So here the question is, you have to find the number of fissions per second. See, if you see here, the energies are in different units. One is in joule per second, another one is million electron volt. All units should be in all the values should be in 1 unit, then only it will be easy for our calculation. So we have to convert it into 1 unit. So energy released per fission is 200 million electron volt. So what we are doing is we are converting this into joule. So when you want to convert this into joule, you have to multiply by 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 joule, because 1 electron volt is equal to 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 joule. Hence you get the answer as energy released per fission is equal to 320 into 10 power minus 13 joule. Now, N will be the number of fission per second which produces a power of 1 watt. So, energy per fission into N. Energy per fission means energy divided by number of fission. So energy divided by number of fission into number of fission will give you the numerator n and denominator n will get cancelled, and this formula will give you the total energy released per second. So energy per fission is given by 320 into 10 power minus 13 into n, which is equal to total energy released per fission is 1 joule per second. So from this equation you can easily find the n value as n is equal to 1 joule per second the whole divided by 320 into 10 power minus 13. So when you just simplify this, you get the number of fission as 3.125 into 10 power 10. The 10th problem is, show that the mass of the radium with an activity of 1 curie is almost a gram. The T half is given as 1600 years. So the activity is given as 1 curie. We know the half-life of radium as 1600 years. And we know the relation between Curie and disintegration per second as 1 Curie is equal to 3.7 into 10 power 10 disintegration per second. We know the relation between lambda and T half as lambda is equal to 0.31 divided by T half. T half is 1600. So this you have to convert it into, this is 1600 years. So we have to convert it into seconds. So what we are doing, 1600 into 365 into 24 hours into 60 minutes into 60 seconds. Now we have converted into second. Now lambda we have converted. After that we know the relation that dn by dt is equal to n lambda. So from this equation n will be equal to dn by dt the whole divided by lambda. Now substitute all the values given, we get n is equal to dn by dt, we have found it as 3.7 into 10 power 10 divided by lambda value is 0.6931 the whole divided by 1600 into 365 into 24 into 60 into 60. So that will go to the numerator. So the answer is 1 point. Simplifying this, you get 1.8669 divided by 0.6931 into 10 power 21, which is approximately equal to 2.6936 into 10 power 12. So, according to the Avogadro's principle, you know the Avogadro number, see 6.023 into 10 power 23 atoms are there present in 226 gram of radium. Here we have got 2.694 into 21 atoms. So, this will give approximately how much gram? So, to find we will have 2.694 into 10 power 29 into 226 the whole divided by 6.023 into 10 power 23. This is the same formula which I have told you. One chocolate is 5 rupees. What is the cost of 10 chocolates? 10 into 5. The same formula only here also we are using. So when you do this calculation, you will get approximately 1.011 gram, which is equal to approximately 1 gram. So hence we have proved that the mass of the radium with an activity of 1 curie is almost 1 gram. The last problem. Charcoal pieces of tree is found from an archaeological site. The carbon 14 content of this charcoal is only 17.5% that of equivalent sample of carbon from a living tree. What is the age of the tree? Now we will start from the given data. The activity is given as 17.5%. The T half is given as 5730 year. The activity of the sample, you know the expression as R is equal to R naught into e power minus lambda T. So from this equation you can find e power minus lambda T is equal to R by R naught. That is e power minus lambda T is equal to R naught by R. Take log on both the sides to eliminate the e. So when e is eliminated, you will have lambda T is equal to R naught by log of R naught by R. Here instead of lambda, I am going to substitute. I am going to use the relation T half is equal to log 2 by lambda. This is the relation between T half and lambda. This relation instead of lambda I am going to use in the above relation. So I get T is equal to T half by log 2 into log of R by R naught. T half value is given in the data as 5730, which I am going to substitute in this equation. So I get T is equal to 5730 divided by log 2 into log of 1 divided by 0.175. Substituting the log values, we will get the value as 14,400 year. So the time is 1.44 into 10 power 4 year.